Stop before you touch your phone. Listen, if your morning is owned, your life is controlled. Every day, someone tries to hijack you with urgency, guilt, and noise, not with chains, but with access to your attention, your mood, your time, and the moment you react on impact, you hand them the steering wheel. Marcus Aurelius warned us you have power over your mind, not outside events, yet most people wake up and surrender that power in the first 60 seconds. So here's the test. Say it with me. I do not respond on impact one breath, 1 minute. That's all it takes to break control, because whoever controls your pace controls your decisions. And in this video, I'll show you the ungovernable morning, a stoic routine, in under 10 minutes that makes you impossible to bait, rush, or guilt do this every morning, and you'll feel it calm, becomes your armor, and no one can control you. Part 1. The real controller. There is a moment every morning that decides who controls you for the rest of the day. It happens quietly. No alarms, no notifications yet. Just you, your breath, and the first thought that enters your mind. Marcus Aurelius knew this moment well. He ruled the most powerful empire on earth, commanded armies, decided the fate of millions, yet every morning he wrote to himself as if he were the one in danger of being ruled. Because he understood something most people never realize until it is too late. Power over others means nothing if you have no power over your own reactions. Pause for a breath. Say this with me. I control my response. Let that settle, because the real controller of your life is rarely a person standing in front of you. It is the invisible force that moves you before you even notice you are moving. Most people believe control looks like a boss giving orders, a manipulative partner demanding attention, a toxic friend pulling emotional strings, or a system designed to keep them exhausted and distracted. But Marcus Aurelius would disagree. In Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say you control outcomes. He didn't say you control people. He said you control your mind. And that single sentence exposes the great illusion of modern life. We think we are controlled by people, but in reality, we are controlled by our untrained reactions. Here is the uncomfortable truth. No one controls you directly. They control the speed at which you react. They control the emotional buttons you never learned to guard. They control the habits you repeat automatically, especially in the morning, when your mind is most vulnerable. Neuroscience confirms this. Within the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking, your brain is in a heightened state of suggestibility. Cortisol levels spike naturally to wake you up. This hormone sharpens attention, but it also lowers emotional defenses. Translation. Whatever you feed your mind first becomes disproportionately powerful. If the first thing you do is check your phone, you are not just reading messages. You are surrendering authorship of your day. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out. Say it again. I choose the first input. Marcus Aurelius didn't have smartphones, but he had something just as dangerous. Constant demands, political pressure, betrayal from those closest to him, war reports arriving at dawn, and the weight of expectation pressing down every single morning. Yet instead of beginning his day by reacting, he began by preparing. He reminded himself who he was before the world told him who to be. That is the difference between a person who is controlled and a person who is ungovernable. One reacts, the other prepares. Let's make this real. Imagine two people waking up at the same time, same city, same economic conditions, same challenges. Person A wakes up and immediately checks notifications, emails, news, social media, messages. Within 5 minutes, their nervous system is hijacked. Their heart rate increases. Their mood shifts. Their self-worth rises or falls based on external feedback. They are now in reactive mode. Person B wakes up and does nothing for 2 minutes. No phone, no input, just breathing and awareness. That person has already gained a strategic advantage. Data from behavioral psychology shows that individuals who delay external input in the morning report up to 23% higher perceived control over their day and significantly lower emotional volatility. Control begins with delay. Say that with me, delay creates control. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to expect resistance, not comfort. Begin the morning by saying to thyself, I shall meet with busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial, he wrote. This was not pessimism. This was psychological immunity. When you expect friction, you are harder to manipulate. When you expect smoothness, you are easily shaken. Modern studies support this ancient insight. Research on expectation management shows that people who mentally rehearse difficulties experience lower stress responses when those difficulties occur. The shock disappears, and without shock, control evaporates. Pause. Breathe. Let that sink in. Here is where most people lose their freedom without realizing it. They wake up already behind, already responding, already apologizing, already explaining, already chasing approval. That morning posture repeats all day long. If someone texts them urgently, they respond instantly. If someone criticizes them, they defend themselves. If someone disapproves, they shrink. This is not because they are weak. It is because they never train the first moment of the day. Marcus Aurelius understood that if you lose the morning, you spend the rest of the day negotiating your dignity. Let me tell you a story. During one of Rome's most unstable periods, Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal from a trusted general, a plague devastating the population, and relentless pressure from the Senate. By any modern definition, he had every reason to be reactive, angry, defensive. Yet historical accounts show that his decisions became slower, calmer, more deliberate during crisis. Why? Because he had already rehearsed loss before breakfast. He had already accepted what he could not control before the day tried to take control from him. Say this quietly: I prepare before I react. Now here is the shocking part. Control is not taken from you in dramatic moments. It is surrendered in tiny daily rituals that feel harmless. Checking your phone in bed, reacting immediately to messages, starting your day with noise instead of intention. According to attention research, the average person checks their phone within 5 minutes of waking and consumes the equivalent of 34 gigabytes of information per day. That is not information. That is mental pollution, and polluted minds are easy to steer. Marcus Aurelius warned against this centuries ago when he wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your morning thoughts dye your entire day. So what is the real controller? It is not your boss, not society, not even your past. The real controller is whatever captures your attention before you choose it. Attention is the currency of control. Whoever owns your attention owns your behavior. This is why the morning matters more than motivation. Motivation fades. Structure remains. Stoicism is not about feeling strong. It is about being strategically calm when it matters most. Pause here. Inhale. Exhale. Say it with me: I own my attention. Here is a simple exercise you can do tomorrow morning. It takes 60 seconds. When you wake up, before touching your phone, sit up and ask one question. What is one thing that could control me today if I let it? Do not judge the answer. Just name it. Maybe it is fear. Maybe it is a person. Maybe it is money. Maybe it is approval. Naming the controller weakens it. This is not philosophy. This is neuroscience. Naming an emotion reduces amygdala activity and restores prefrontal control. Marcus Aurelius practiced this intuitively long before science explained it. Remember this principle. You do not break control by fighting the world. You break control by mastering your inner posture before the world arrives. That posture is built every morning. This is why Stoics didn't chase perfect conditions. They trained imperfect minds to remain steady. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom is not a location. It is a discipline practiced daily, quietly, without applause. Now lean in, because this is where everything changes. Knowing who the real controller is means nothing if you don't build a shield against it. Awareness without structure still collapses under pressure. Marcus Aurelius didn't stop at insight. He built systems. And in the next part, I will show you the exact morning structure he would recognize instantly. A simple practice that takes 5 minutes and breaks manipulation at the root. It is called the 2-column rule, and once you learn it, mornings will never control you again. If this resonated, stay with me. Take one calm breath. Part 2, the morning shield. The 2-column rule. If part 1 showed you who really controls your life, then this part gives you the shield that stops control before it even begins. Marcus Aurelius did not rely on willpower. He relied on structure. Because willpower is fragile in the morning, but structure is calm, silent, and reliable. This is the difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Discipline asks what must be done regardless of how I feel. Pause for one breath. Say it with me. Structure protects me. Let that land. The Stoics understood something modern psychology only confirmed recently. The human mind cannot handle chaos without creating false urgency. When everything feels important, manipulators win. When everything demands a response, anxiety becomes your commander. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. That estimate is formed early, very early, often before breakfast. The two-column rule exists to interrupt that estimate before it hardens into stress. Here is the rule in its simplest form. Every morning you divide reality into two categories, what is under your control and what is not. That's it. Simple, ancient, ruthlessly effective. But don't be fooled by simplicity. Simplicity is what gives it power. Neuroscience shows that decision fatigue is highest in the first hours of the day. When your brain faces too many undefined variables, it panics quietly and hands control to habit. The two-column rule reduces cognitive load by up to 40% according to studies on choice architecture. Less load means more agency. Agency means freedom. Breathe in, breathe out. Say it. Clarity creates calm. Marcus Aurelius practiced this not with fancy language but with brutal honesty. In his private writings, he repeatedly separated what belonged to him from what did not. His thoughts, his judgments, his actions, everything else was external, not his, not worth surrendering peace over. Today we drown in externals, messages, metrics, opinions, algorithms. The two-column rule is a filter. It tells your nervous system, this matters. This does not. Without that filter, everything screams. With it, most noise goes quiet. Let's walk through it slowly. When you wake up before the phone, before the news, before other people's emergencies become yours, you write two headings. Column A, what I control. Column B, what I don't control. Then you write quickly, no perfection, no overthinking. Speed matters because speed bypasses self-deception. In column A, you might write my effort, my words, my breathing, my boundaries, my preparation, my honesty, my attention. In column B, you write other people's moods, outcomes, delays, mistakes from yesterday, approval, rejection, the past, the algorithm, the economy. Pause here. Say this with me. Not everything deserves my energy. Here is where control quietly shifts back to you. Most people start their day carrying items from column B as if they were in column A. They try to control opinions. They chase outcomes. They replay the past. This creates tension without leverage. Marcus Aurelius warned against this mental theft when he wrote, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others." The two-column rule returns stolen energy. It gives you back what is yours. Now comes the most important step, and this is where most people rush. You do not circle 10 things. You circle one. One action from column A that would make you stronger today if you did it well. 1. Why 1? Because power concentrates. According to productivity research, focusing on a single controllable priority increases completion rates by over 60% compared to multitasking goals. Stoicism is not about doing more. It is about doing the right thing without distraction. Breathe. Repeat, one thing done well is enough. Marcus Aurelius lived this. Despite ruling an empire, he reduced his daily intention to simple virtues, patience, justice, self-restraint. Not because he lacked ambition, but because he understood leverage. One anchored action steadies the entire day. When manipulators approach, when stress spikes, when chaos appears, you return to the one thing you chose. That choice becomes your anchor. Anchors prevent drift. Let's ground this in a real example. Imagine you wake up anxious about a meeting. In column B, you write outcome of the meeting, others' opinions, possible rejection. In column A, you write preparation, clarity, calm delivery. You circle one calm delivery. Now your nervous system knows where to invest energy. Even if the meeting goes poorly, you remain unbroken. Why? Because you measured success by control, not outcome. This single reframing reduces performance anxiety dramatically. Studies show that process-focused goals reduce cortisol levels compared to outcome-focused goals. Ancient wisdom, modern data. Pause. Let that sink in. The two-column rule also dissolves manipulation. Manipulation thrives on confusion about responsibility. People try to hand you emotions, urgency, guilt, and fear that do not belong to you. When you are clear about columns, you can quietly refuse. You don't argue. You don't explain excessively. You simply don't pick up what is not yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." This is not denial. It is discernment. Here is a short reset. Inhale slowly through your nose. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale. Say, "I return what is not mine." That sentence alone can stop an emotional hijack in real time. Now let's talk about why mornings matter specifically. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that perceived control early in the day predicts emotional regulation for the next 12 hours. In other words, if you start the day clear, you end it steadier. If you start scattered, you chase stability all day and never quite catch it. The two-column rule gives you perceived control immediately because it defines boundaries. Boundaries calm the nervous system. Calm creates choice. Choice is freedom. Marcus Aurelius never tried to dominate the day. He defined himself before the day tried to define him. That is the deeper lesson. When you write the columns, you are not making a list. You are making a declaration of identity. This is who I am responsible for. This is what I release. Identity precedes behavior. Without identity, habits collapse. Here is a practical expansion. After circling your one action, write one sentence underneath it. If nothing else goes right today, this is enough. This trains your mind away from all or nothing thinking. Perfectionism loses its grip. According to cognitive behavioral research, this reduces self-criticism and increases follow-through. Marcus Aurelius practiced this mental mercy daily. He did not demand perfection. He demanded sincerity. Let me be clear. The two-column rule will feel almost boring at first. There is no dopamine rush, no excitement. That is why it works. Calm practices feel unimportant to addicted minds. But boring disciplines create extraordinary freedom. Stoicism was never designed to entertain you. It was designed to make you unbreakable. Pause, breathe, say it. Calm is my advantage. Now a warning. Do not turn this into a performance. Do not post it. Do not optimize it. Do not seek validation. Marcus Aurelius kept these writings private for a reason. Power grows in silence. The moment you perform discipline for others, you hand control back to the outside. This is your shield. Keep it close. As the days pass, something subtle happens. You stop arguing with reality. You stop reacting to bait. You stop chasing closure from people who can't give it. Others will feel it. They may say you've changed. They may push harder. That is a sign the shield is working. When control fails, manipulators escalate. Your job is not to escalate with them. Your job is to stay anchored. Let's end this part with a simple morning drill you can use tomorrow. Wake up, sit up, write the two columns, circle one action, take one calm breath, and say, "I act where I have power." Do this for 7 days. According to habit formation research, 7 consecutive repetitions significantly increase automatic recall. After 2 weeks, it becomes identity. In part 3, we go deeper, because clarity alone is not enough when life hits hard. Marcus Aurelius didn't just divide control. He trained his mind to remain steady under insult, loss, and pressure. In the next part, you'll learn the mental armor he used to stay calm when everything around him collapsed. Stay with me. Breathe once more. Part 3, Marcus Aurelius' mental armor. In part 1, you saw the real controller, whatever hijacks your attention, before you choose it. In part 2, you built the morning shield, the two-column rule that separates what's yours from what isn't. Now we go deeper because here's the hard truth. Marcus Aurelius learned the brutal way clarity alone won't save you when life hits with insult, betrayal, loss, and pressure. When your ego gets stabbed, when someone publicly disrespects you, when money tightens, when a relationship turns cold, when your plans collapse at 7:41 a.m., your mind will not ask for philosophy. Your mind will demand a reaction. That is the moment people get controlled, not by the event, but by the inner storm. Marcus called this storm the only real enemy. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Pause for a breath. Say it with me. The obstacle is training. Let that land because this part is about building an inner armor so strong that no one can hook you, bait you, shame you, or rush you into becoming someone you don't respect. Stoicism is not calm aesthetics. Stoicism is combat training for the mind. Quiet discipline daily. And Marcus Aurelius was not a motivational speaker. He was an emperor in crisis writing notes to himself like a soldier sharpening his blade. So today you'll learn his mental armor in 3 layers: the frame, the distance, and the response. Think of it like a shield you carry into the day, and once you carry it, other people's chaos stops feeling like your responsibility. Breathe in, breathe out. Say, I carry my calm. Layer 1 is the frame. If someone can change your frame, they can control your emotions. If they can control your emotions, they can control your decisions. That's why manipulators don't start by attacking your logic. They attack your frame. They rush you. They shame you. They make you feel late, wrong, not enough, guilty, behind. Marcus trained himself to keep one frame above all frames, the frame of nature and duty. He asked, what is required of me, not what is felt by me? In modern terms, what is the next right action, not the loudest emotion? Here is your morning armor sentence. Say it slowly. Today I will be a person of principle, not impulse. Pause. Again, principle, not impulse. Because impulse is where control enters. Principle is where control dies. Many people live as if emotions are commands. The Stoics lived as if emotions are weather. Weather is real, but weather is not a boss. You do not obey the storm, you navigate it. Now the frame becomes stronger when you remember the Stoic definition of insult. Insult is not damage, it's information about someone else's mind. Marcus wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest. Notice what that does. It frames difficult behavior as expected, not personal. That reduces shock, and shock is the doorway of control. If you get shocked, you get pulled. If you expect friction, you stay steady. Pause. Breathe. Say, I do not panic at human nature. That line alone can save you thousands of hours of mental suffering. Layer 2 is distance. The second someone can pull you emotionally close, you lose perspective. So Marcus practiced distance like a commander stepping back from the battlefield to see the entire map. One of the most powerful Stoic tools is what we could call the view from above. Marcus wrote about looking down at life as if from a high place, seeing cities, crowds, arguments, ambitions, and realizing how small and temporary it all is. This is not to become cold, it is to become free. Because the closer you stand to a flame, the more it burns you. Distance cools the fire. Here's your morning exercise for distance. It takes 30 seconds. Close your eyes and imagine your day from above. You in your room, your building, your street, your city. The people who might annoy you today, the messages that might trigger you, the problems that might appear. Now zoom out further. The planet, the clouds, the ocean. Say it with me. This is smaller than my peace. Breathe. Again, smaller than my peace. When you do this, you weaken the emotional gravity of petty things. And petty things are the favorite weapons of control. Let's make it practical. Someone criticizes you online. Without armor, you feel heat in your chest. You want to respond. You want to defend. You want to prove. That urge is the leash. With armor, you create distance. You remember this is one comment in 1 minute of one day in one life. Marcus would say, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? In modern terms, the reply you're about to write could cost you hours of peace, days of focus, maybe your reputation, maybe your future. A single impulsive reaction can become a permanent screenshot. Pause for a breath. Say it. My peace is worth more than being right. This sentence turns a trap into a doorway out. Layer 3 is the response. This is where Marcus becomes surgical. The Stoics did not believe you control what appears in the mind. They believed you control what you agree with. The first thought is not your choice. The second thought is your vote. Marcus wrote, if you are able, correct by teaching those who do wrong. If you cannot, remember that indulgence is given to you for this purpose. Notice the discipline. He does not react to the first impulse. He chooses the response based on virtue. Here is your response protocol for the morning. It's called the 3 questions. When something happens that could control you, ask 1. Is this in my control? 2. What story am I telling about it? 3. What would my best self do next? Pause, inhale, exhale. Say it with me. Control story next step. Again, control story next step. If you repeat this every morning, it becomes automatic when you need it most. Now you asked for useful information and clear practical tools. So here is what modern psychology aligns with this. When you label the story, when you catch yourself saying, this means I'm disrespected, or this means I'm failing, or this means they don't value me, you reduce the emotional intensity. You shift from amygdala mode to prefrontal mode. That's the science version of Stoicism. Viktor Frankl, who endured a concentration camp and still taught inner freedom, said between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That is Stoicism in one sentence, and it matches Marcus perfectly. Pause. Breathe. Say, I live in the space. If you can live in that space, no one can control you. Now let's add something that keeps retention strong, a scenario. Imagine it's morning, you're on your way to work, and someone cuts you off in traffic, then gestures at you like you're the problem. Your body surges. Heart tightens. Thoughts accelerate. That's the ancient animal brain. Now armor. Frame. This is human nature, not a personal attack. Distance. This moment will be nothing in a week. Response. My next right action is safety and calm. You don't need to win the road. You need to win your mind. Seneca warned anger, if not restrained, is often more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. In other words, the real damage is self-inflicted. Pause and breathe. Say it, I do not punish myself for others' behavior. Another scenario. You wake up and check your phone, maybe you shouldn't, but you do, and there's a message, we need to talk. No context, just a sentence. Your mind starts writing horror stories. This is where people get controlled by imagination. Marcus would call that unnecessary suffering. He wrote, do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. So your armor here is simple frame. I won't invent pain. Distance. I don't know the full truth yet. Response. I will proceed calmly and ask for clarity. Say it with me. I do not suffer twice. That is a Stoic line you should keep forever. Now you asked for reset every 45 to 60 seconds. So let's install a powerful one that Marcus would approve. It's called the Emperor's Breath. You do it anytime you feel pulled. Inhale for a slow count of 4, hold for a count of 2, exhale for a count of 6. As you exhale, say internally, release. This simple pattern slows your nervous system and gives you back choice. Pause. Do it now in your mind. Inhale, hold, exhale, release. Say it with me. I release what I can't control. Again, I release. That's the sound of freedom returning. Now let's anchor this part into the morning routine so it becomes a real system, not just ideas. Tomorrow morning, after you do the 2-column rule from part 2, you add one more box underneath. Write my armor today, then write 3 bullets, my frame, my distance. My response, keep it simple. Example, my frame. Principle over impulse. My distance, view from above. My response, control story next step. That's it. 3 bullets. This is a 5-minute ritual that can change your entire personality over a few weeks. Because personality is not fate, it is practiced. And yes, I promised strong emotion, curiosity, shock. So here is the uncomfortable shock. Most people are not controlled by villains. They're controlled by their need to be liked. That need turns into instant replies, over-explaining, people-pleasing, surrendering boundaries, tolerating disrespect, chasing validation. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, still warned himself not to seek applause. He wrote, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Read that again in your mind. That line exposes the hidden chain around the neck. Pause. Say it with me, I value my opinion more. When you value your opinion more, control becomes difficult. When you value others' opinions, more control becomes effortless. Now here's the practical drill for the week. For 7 mornings, do this. After your 2-column rule, write 1 sentence. The opinion I will obey today is mine. Then pick one moment you usually seek approval, maybe posting, texting, pitching, speaking, and decide in advance, I will not beg for reassurance. Instead, you will act, then detach. Stoics call this doing your duty and releasing the outcome. Marcus would say, do what is right, let the rest happen. This single drill will change your nervous system. You will feel withdrawal at first because approval is a drug, but withdrawal is proof you're becoming free. Breathe. Say withdrawal is training. Now a final story to seal it. Marcus Aurelius often wrote at night exhausted, surrounded by war. He wasn't writing for an audience. He was writing to keep his mind from being conquered. Imagine that. The Emperor of Rome writing to himself, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Not morbid, liberating. Because when you remember life is short, you stop being controlled by petty games. You stop trading hours of peace for minutes of ego. You stop reacting like your pride is your identity. You become a steward of your time. And time once spent never returns. That is why Stoicism is so powerful in the mornings are the gateway of time. So here is the close for part 3. If you want no one to control you, you need armor. Frame your day with principle. Create distance from pettiness. Choose response over impulse. And remember this line, say it with me now, I am not required to react. Again, not required. That sentence is the end of manipulation, because manipulation feeds on urgency. When urgency dies, control dies. Now in part 4, I'm going to teach you the single most practical tool Marcus Aurelius would use in the modern world, the 60-second delay that makes you unbreakable. It sounds too simple, but it is the difference between a controlled life and a sovereign life. Stay with me. Take one calm breath. Comment the word steady if you're training this armor. Part 4, the 60-second delay that makes you unbreakable. If you've been with me through part 1, part 2, and part 3, you already know the truth. Most people avoid control. Doesn't start with a dictator, a manipulator, or a loud enemy. It starts with a small moment inside your chest, the instant you feel pulled, rushed, provoked, or afraid. And today I'm going to give you the most practical weapon Marcus Aurelius would use in the modern world if he had a smartphone deadlines comment sections and people who try to bait him for sport. It sounds almost too small to matter. That's why it works. It's the 60-second delay. 1 minute. A tiny pause that turns you from reactive to sovereign. Pause for one breath right now. Say it with me, I do not respond on impact. Again, not on impact. Because the fastest way to be controlled is to respond at the exact speed someone else wants. Urgency is the leash. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is not to be like that. Not to be like what? Not to be reactive, not to be impulsive, not to be dragged into their tempo. Your tempo is your freedom, and the 60-second delay is how you reclaim your tempo every single morning before the world takes it from you. Here's the hidden mechanism. When something triggers you, your body reacts first. Heart rate shifts, breath tightens, jaw clenches, thoughts speed up. That's not you choosing. That's your nervous system protecting you like an ancient guard dog. The problem is the guard dog doesn't understand modern threats. A message is not a tiger. A comment is not a war. A tone of voice is not an execution. But the body reacts as if it is. That's why you need the delay. Modern research on emotional regulation consistently points to one principle. The intensity of a reaction decreases when you create even a small buffer between stimulus and response. Viktor Frankl said it best. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That space is where freedom lives. And today you will learn how to build that space on command in 60 seconds, so no one can control you with guilt, anger, pressure, shame, or urgency. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out. Say, I live in the space. Now let's make it operational, because Stoicism is not quotes, it's tools. The 60-second delay has 4 steps, and I want you to remember them as a simple sequence you can repeat anytime you feel pulled. Stop, name, breathe, choose. Stop, name, breathe, choose. Say it with me. Stop, name, breathe, choose. One more time. Stop, name, breathe, choose. Step 1, stop. This is not dramatic. It can be invisible. A pause before you type. A pause before you speak. A pause before you send the message that might ruin your peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, You can hold your breath until it passes. He didn't mean literally forever. He meant you can hold yourself for a moment until the wave breaks. Because emotions are waves. They rise, crest, and fall. If you respond at the crest, you respond at your worst. If you wait for the fall, you respond at your best. Step 2. Name. This is the part most people skip, and it's the part that makes you unbreakable. You label what is happening inside you in plain language. This is anger. This is fear. This is shame. This is the need to be liked. This is the urge to prove myself. Naming creates distance. It turns a storm into an object you can observe. Neuroscience calls this affect labeling. It helps reduce the emotional charge and re-engage the brain regions responsible for reasoning. The Stoics discovered it without lab coats. Marcus did it with a pen. He would say, "This is an impression, not a truth." Pause for a breath and say, "It's an impression, not an order." Step 3, breathe. This is where you take control of the body first, because if the body is in panic mode, the mind will manufacture panic stories. Use the emperor's breath you learned in part 3, but now we tighten it for speed. Inhale through the nose for a slow count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. As you exhale, say one word internally, release. Do that for one cycle, just one. It's enough to interrupt the hijack. Say it with me. Inhale, hold, exhale, release. Step 4, choose. Now and only now you decide what the next right action is. Not the next emotional action, the next right action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, do not negotiate with your impulse. Choose virtue. Choose character. Choose the version of you respect in the morning. Here's the shock. Most people think they choose their reactions, but they don't. They repeat them. The delay breaks repetition. It returns choice. And whoever has choice cannot be controlled. Let's prove it with a scenario you've lived. You wake up, your phone buzzes, and the first message is a complaint. Maybe it's a client. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's family. The message is written in a tone that smells like disrespect. Your impulse says, "Fix this now. Defend yourself now. Explain now." That is exactly what control looks like. Someone else sets the tempo and you obey. Now 60 seconds. Stop, don't type. Name, this is urgency and ego. Breathe one cycle. Choose, I will respond calmly in 10 minutes with clarity. Notice what just happened. You didn't lose power. You gained it. Because calm timing is power. Seneca warned, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." That line is not poetry, it is engineering. Delay is the lever that moves your whole life. Pause and say, "Delay is my remedy." Now here's a second scenario, because the morning battlefield's not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet and cruel. You wake up with that heavy feeling like you're already behind in life. Your mind begins the old movie, "I'm late. I'm not enough. Everyone is ahead." That internal voice is also a controller. And if you obey it, you will act from desperation all day. The 60-second delay works here too. Stop, don't grab the phone. Name, this is comparison. Breathe one cycle. Choose one controllable action. This is why the 2-column rule from part 2 pairs perfectly with the delay. The delay creates calm. The columns create direction. Calm without direction is drifting. Direction without calm is panic. Together they create sovereignty. Say it with me, calm and direction. Again, calm and direction. Now let's talk about why this single minute changes everything. Because you asked for useful information, numbers, and practical truth. In behavioral science, impulsive actions are strongly tied to immediate reward loops, dopamine spikes that push you toward quick replies, quick anger, quick validation, quick scrolling. A delay interrupts the reward loop. It forces the brain to tolerate discomfort for a moment. And that tolerance is literally the skill of freedom. If you cannot tolerate 60 seconds of discomfort, you will tolerate years of control. Let that hit. Pause for a breath. Say, "I can tolerate 1 minute." Because 1 minute today becomes a different life later. Many studies on habit change emphasize the importance of implementation intentions, simple, if-then, rules that trigger a behavior automatically. So here's your if-then rule, and I want you to memorize it. If I feel rushed, I pause for 60 seconds. Say it with me. If rushed, pause. Again, if rushed, pause. That rule alone can save relationships, reputations, jobs, money, and peace, because most disasters are not created by bad intentions, they're created by fast reactions. Now, I want to give you the morning application Marcus would love, because Marcus didn't wait for chaos to practice. He practiced in advance every morning like sharpening a sword before battle. The modern version is this: you schedule your first deliberate 60-second delay before any trigger arrives. You do it on purpose. Here's how. When you wake up, sit up, and before you touch the phone, you put one hand on your chest and you do 1 cycle inhale, 4 hold 2, exhale 6. Then you say quietly, "Nothing outside me commands me." That line is your morning oath. It is Stoicism distilled. Marcus would approve because it trains identity, not just behavior. Say it with me. Nothing outside me commands me. Now we add retention resets every 45 to 60 seconds, so here's the rhythm you will use throughout your day. Whenever you feel a pull, pause, breathe, repeat one sentence. This is your anchor sentence: I am not required to react. Say it with me. Not required. Again, not required. That sentence kills manipulation, because manipulation is always trying to make you feel required. Required to reply, required to explain, required to defend, required to chase, required to please. But you're not required, you're responsible. And responsibility is chosen, not demanded. Now let's get sharper. There are 3 common control tactics people use consciously or unconsciously, and the 60-second delay neutralizes all 3. Tactic 1 is urgency: answer now, decide now, fix this now. Urgency hijacks your reasoning. The delay breaks urgency. Tactic 2 is shame. How could you? You always, you never. Shame forces you to react to protect your identity. The delay breaks shame because it gives you a moment to remember who you are. Tactic 3 is bait: sarcasm, disrespect, provocation, designed to pull you into a fight where you lose your composure. The delay breaks bait because it moves you out of their tempo. You stop dancing to their drum. Say it with me: I do not match their tempo. Again, I choose my tempo. Now let's give you a concrete drill you can actually do tomorrow with clear structure, so it's not just theory. It's called the morning trigger rehearsal. It takes 2 minutes. After you do the 2-column rule, you imagine one trigger that might happen today, just one. Maybe a rude message, maybe a demanding boss, maybe a temptation to scroll, maybe an argument you always repeat. You imagine the trigger for 5 seconds, then you practice the 60-second delay in real time. Stop, name, breathe, choose. You don't need to do the full minute, you rehearse the sequence. This is how athletes train. This is how soldiers train. And this is how Stoics train. Marcus wrote to himself daily because he understood rehearsal is protection. Repeat after me: rehearsal is protection. Now I'll give you famous Stoic-style quotes that match this practice, so your script carries authority and rhythm. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Marcus said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Notice how all 3 are really about the delay: pause long enough to choose what is right and true instead of what is fast and loud. Pause for a breath and say right and true. Again, right and true. Now here is the emotional hook that will keep your audience listening, because it hits the heart. The reason the 60-second delay feels hard is because it threatens the ego's favorite identity, being the person who always has an answer, always has a defense, always has a comeback, always has control. But that identity is a trap. True control is not constant response. True control is selective response. Powerful people do not respond to everything. They respond to what matters. And the most powerful people often respond slowly, not because they are weak, because they are free. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, still wrote like a student of self-control. That humility was his strength. Imagine how unbreakable you become when you stop needing to win every moment, when you stop needing to be understood by everyone, when you stop needing to fix every emotion around you. The delay teaches you that you don't have to carry the world's mood. Say it with me: I don't carry their mood. Now we close part 4 with a clear call to action, a memorable summary, and a bridge to part 5 that makes people hungry. Here's your summary in one line: the 60-second delay turns triggers into training and training into freedom. Say it with me: triggers into training, again, training into freedom. Your action for tomorrow morning is simple before you touch your phone. Do one intentional 60-second delay. Stop, name, breathe, choose. Then write one sentence today: I will not respond on impact. If you do only that, you will already be different than most people. And if you want, comment one word: steady. That word is your pledge. Subscribe to Making Life Better if you're building a mind no one can control. Because in part 5, we're going to install the most dangerous boundary in the modern world, the morning no. The Stoic art of refusing without guilt. The moment you master that, people stop controlling you with expectations, pressure, and emotional blackmail. Stay with me. One calm breath. Part 5, the morning. Know how Stoics set boundaries without guilt. There is a reason most people are controlled even when they know better. It's not lack of intelligence. It's not lack of information. It's one painful weakness that feels like kindness. They can't say no. Not a clean no. Not a calm no. They say yes with their mouth and resentment with their body. They say yes to calls they don't want, favors that drain them, deadlines that crush them, conversations that go nowhere, emotional chaos they didn't create. And then they wonder why life feels like someone else is driving. Marcus Aurelius would tell you the truth: if you cannot say no, you are not free. Not because people are evil, but because boundaries are the border of the self. Without borders, you are invaded. Pause for one breath. Say it with me. My boundary is my freedom. Again, my boundary is my freedom, because the controller's favorite weapon is not violence. It's access. Access to your time, your attention, your emotional labor, your guilt. And the place where access is granted most easily is the morning, when your mind is still soft, your identity still forming, and your nervous system still waking up. That's why part 5 is called the morning no. It's not rude. It's not cold. It's stoic. It is the quiet refusal that keeps you sovereign before the world starts pulling. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That is a boundary statement. It's not a mood. It's a principle. Principles don't negotiate with pressure. They just stand. Now here's the shocking truth most people never admit. The reason they can't say no is not because they're kind. It's because they're afraid. Afraid of disappointing. Afraid of being disliked. Afraid of conflict. Afraid of losing access to someone's approval. That fear is the chain. And that chain turns your day into other people's agenda. Pause. Breathe. Say, I do not buy approval with my life. Because that's what a weak yes is: a purchase. You pay with your peace. You pay with your focus. You pay with your self-respect. Marcus Aurelius warned against living for the crowd. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. If you care more about their opinion than your own, your no becomes impossible. So we're going to train the no, not as a word, but as a system. And the system begins every morning with a simple practice called the gatekeeper ritual. Imagine your day as a city. Your attention is the gate. Most people wake up and leave the gate open. Messages walk in, problems walk in, expectations walk in. And once they're inside, they demand to be fed. The Stoic wakes up and appoints a gatekeeper. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor. He understood gates. He understood invasions. So your first job in the morning is to decide what enters your mind and what does not. Here's the ritual. Before you touch your phone, you say one sentence. Today I will not be available to everything. Say it with me: not available to everything. That sentence is the beginning of sovereignty. Now you ask for resets every 45 to 60 seconds. So here's a reset that will keep dopamine steady while training discipline. Pause and say it with me: I choose access. Again, I choose access. Because control is mostly about access. Who gets access to you and when? Now let's get practical, because this must be usable for real life. The morning no has 3 levels: no to inputs, no to obligations, and no to emotional hooks. Level 1, no to inputs. This is the most overlooked. People think boundaries are only about people. They're also about information. The first hour of your day is either yours or it's the internet's. If you start with news, outrage, drama, or endless scrolling, you are letting strangers set your mood. That is the opposite of freedom. Marcus would call it slavery to impressions. So your first boundary is simple. The phone stays out of your hand for the first 20 minutes. That's it. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You need a protected one. Studies on attention show that even a short delay in checking messages reduces compulsive checking later in the day. Your brain learns I can wait, and the ability to wait is the ability to resist control. Pause, breathe, say I can wait. Level 2. No to obligations. This is where guilt lives. Someone asks for something, a favor, a meeting, a call, a demand disguised as a request. The Stoic does not react. The Stoic uses the 60-second delay from part 4, then chooses a clean boundary. Here are 3 Stoic boundary scripts you can use in real-life calm and powerful no drama. Script 1, I can't commit to that. Script 2, that doesn't work for me. Script 3, I'm not available for that. Say it with me, I'm not available. Notice how those sentences don't argue, they don't explain. They don't invite negotiation. This is crucial. Over-explaining is a sign of fear. People-pleasing is a form of self-betrayal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Strict with yourself means you don't betray your priorities for comfort. Now, many people will ask, but won't I seem rude? Here is the Stoic answer. You are not responsible for their emotional reaction to your healthy boundary. You are responsible for your integrity. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In modern terms, be willing to be misunderstood. The moment you need everyone to approve, you become controllable. Pause. Say I can be misunderstood. That is freedom. Level 3. No to emotional hooks. This is the most advanced. Emotional hooks are messages like, you're selfish. You changed. After all I did for you, if you cared, you would. Those are not requests. Those are levers. The goal is not connection. The goal is control through guilt. Marcus would handle this with calm truth. Here is the Stoic boundary formula for emotional hooks: acknowledge, hold, release. Acknowledge, I hear you. Hold, my decision stands. Release. I'm not continuing this conversation right now. Say it with me, I hear you. My decision stands. Not continuing. That is a boundary that keeps dignity. Now let's add a story to make this real and keep retention high. Imagine a morning where you've planned to work on your future, your health, your business, your craft. Then a message comes in from someone who always needs something. They don't ask, they imply. They create urgency. Your old self would jump in, fix it, and lose the morning. Your new self does the gatekeeper ritual. You delay 60 seconds. You name the hook, this is guilt. You breathe, you choose. You respond with a clean line. I'm not available this morning, I can check in later. That one sentence is a revolution, because the morning is where your future is built. If you give away the morning, you give away your future. Pause, breathe. Say, my morning builds my future. Now you wanted clear numbers and data. Here is a practical truth from time research. Losing just 30 minutes each morning to unplanned requests equals 3.5 hours a week, roughly 14 to 15 hours a month, and more than 180 hours a year. That's over 4 full work weeks of your life spent reacting. That is the cost of a weak boundary, and that cost compounds. The person who protects their mornings gains not only time, but identity. They become someone who does what they said they would do. That reliability builds self-respect. Self-respect is the foundation of unbreakable boundaries. Say it with me, I keep promises to myself. Now here's the key. Stoic insight. The morning no is not primarily a rejection of others. It is a commitment to virtue. Marcus Aurelius built his life around 4 virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. Boundaries are temperance in action. Courage is saying no when it is uncomfortable. Wisdom is knowing what matters. Justice is not pretending you can give what you don't have. A resentful yes is not justice. It's a lie. It says, I choose this when you don't. Stoicism demands honesty. So here's your morning practice for boundaries, and it's simple enough to do every day. After your 2-column rule, write 1 line, my morning no. Then write 3 items: 1 input you will refuse, 1 obligation you will decline or delay, and 1 emotional hook you will not pick up. Example input, no social media before breakfast. Obligation, no meetings before 10 a.m. Hook, no responding to guilt texts immediately. That's your boundary blueprint. It takes 1 minute, but it changes your entire day. Pause. Breathe. Say 1 minute to protect my day. Now, the reason this works is because it converts boundaries from emotional decisions into pre-decisions. Most people try to set boundaries in the moment when pressure is high. That's like trying to build a dam during a flood. Stoics build the dam before the flood. Marcus prepared for difficult people before meeting them. That's what you're doing here. You're preparing your no before someone tries to steal your yes. Now let's install a powerful retention reset. Say it with me. No is a complete sentence. Again, no is complete. But we'll make it stoic. No with calm. That is your brand. Calm, no. No anger, no apology, no guilt. Calm. Now a warning, because when you start doing this, something predictable will happen. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will resist your boundaries. They may label you. They may guilt you. They may escalate. This is not proof you're wrong. It is proof you were useful to them. And when usefulness ends, control tactics appear. Marcus would call this the test of character. He would say the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Not because you hate them, but because your life is yours. Pause. Breathe. Say, my life is mine. Now here's the final drill for this part, and it's designed to create a strong cliffhanger into part 6. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, do 3 things. 1. The gatekeeper sentence today, I will not be available to everything. 2. Write your morning, no blueprint input obligation hook. 3. Practice 1 clean boundary message in your head. Yes, rehearse. Because rehearsal is protection. Then live the day. At the end of the day, ask, did I protect my morning? That question will change you. Because what gets measured gets trained. Now your CTA. If this helped, comment 1 word, boundary. Not 1 word, the specific word is boundary. Subscribe to Making Life Better for the final integration, because in part 6, we will combine everything into the ungovernable morning routine, the full Stoic system that makes you impossible to control. A routine you can do in under 10 minutes, even on busy days, that turns your mind into a fortress. Stay with me. 1 calm breath. Part 6, the ungovernable morning routine. Final integration. This is the final part, and it's the one that turns everything you've learned into a real system you can do even on the busiest mornings. Because information doesn't free you. A system does. Marcus Aurelius did not survive chaos by having good ideas. He survived by having a daily practice strong enough to carry him when he was tired, angry, pressured, or lonely. That's what you're building now, an ungovernable morning. A morning so clear, so disciplined, so calm that no one can control you, because they can't access you the way they used to. They can't bait you. They can't rush you. They can't guilt you. They can't hijack your attention before you choose it. Pause for 1 breath. Say it with me. My morning is my fortress. Again, my morning is my fortress. In part 1, you learned the first law. Attention is sovereignty. In part 2, you learned the morning shield, the 2-column rule. In part 3, you built mental armor frame distance response. In part 4, you installed the 60-second delay stop named Breathe Choose. In part 5, you claimed the morning no boundaries without guilt. Now we integrate. And I'm going to give you a routine that takes under 10 minutes. But it isn't cute. It's not aesthetic. It's not a productivity trend. It's Stoic war training for the mind. If you do this every morning, no one can control you, not because you become aggressive, but because you become unavailable to manipulation. Calmly, quietly, consistently. Here is the ungovernable morning routine in 6 steps. I want you to remember it like a sequence: wake, seal, delay, divide, declare, move. Wake, seal, delay, divide, declare, move. Say it with me. Wake, seal, delay, divide, declare, move. Again, wake, seal, delay, divide, declare, move. Step 1, wake. This is not about waking early. It's about waking deliberately. The moment you open your eyes, you do not reach for the phone. You do not open the world. You open yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. That is not guilt. That is duty. So the first sentence you say is, I rise for duty, not distraction. Say it with me, duty, not distraction. That sentence resets identity. And identity is what protects you before willpower shows up. Step 2, seal. You seal the gate. This is the gatekeeper ritual from part 5, but now it's formal. You say, today, I will not be available to everything. And you physically keep the phone out of your hand. Put it face down. Put it outside the bed. Put it across the room. The point is not self-punishment. The point is design. The environment shapes behavior. If your phone is in your hand, the world owns your attention. If your phone is away, you own the first minute of your life. Pause, breathe. Say, I choose access. Step 3, delay. Before any input, you run the 60-second delay on purpose. Not because you're triggered, because you're training. One cycle, stop, name, breathe, choose. But you do it internally like this stop. This is waking. Inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6. I choose calm. That's your first win. You are teaching your nervous system we do not sprint into the day. You are becoming the kind of person who does not respond on impact. Say it with me, I do not respond on impact. Step 4, divide. Now you take the 2-column rule from part 2, but you keep it brutally simple. You write 2 headings, control, not control. Then you write 3 items in each, not 10. 3. Because you're busy, you're tired. You need a routine that survives real life. In control, effort, attitude, next action. In not control, other people's moods, outcomes, delays. Then you circle one controllable action that matters most today. Just one. Marcus Aurelius would approve because this creates leverage. Say it with me. One thing done well. Step 5, declare. This is where you install Marcus Aurelius's mental armor from part 3. You write your armor in one line, frame, distance, response, and you make it personal. Example, frame, principle over impulse. Distance, view from above. Response, control, story, next step. Then you add one sentence that becomes your daily oath. Nothing outside me commands me. Say it with me. Nothing outside me commands me. This is not arrogance, it's discipline. It means you will act by values, not by pressure. Step 6, move. This is where most routines fail because they end in thinking. Stoicism ends in action. Marcus wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. So you do one physical action to lock the mind into reality. It can be 10 push-ups, a short stretch, a cold splash, a short walk to the window, or simply making your bed with intention. Why? Because movement is the bridge between identity and behavior. It tells your brain we execute, and execution is what makes you ungovernable. Say it with me, I execute. Now you asked for resets every 45 to 60 seconds, so here are the 3 anchor resets you will use throughout your day, and they come straight from the Stoic spirit. Reset 1 when you feel rushed, if rushed, pause. Reset 2 when you feel baited. My peace is worth more than being right. Reset 3 when you feel guilted, I return what is not mine. Say them with me now. If rushed, pause. Peace over being right, return what's not mine. These are your 3 emergency codes. They keep dopamine steady because they're short, rhythmic, repeatable. They also keep you calm because they return you to control. Now let's add the emotional punch and the truth that makes this go viral. The reason this routine works is because it removes your biggest weakness, unprotected mornings. Most people are not controlled because they are weak. They are controlled because they are open. Open gates, open phone, open attention, open emotions, open guilt. Once you seal the morning, you stop leaking yourself into the world. And when you stop leaking, you become powerful without trying. Your calm becomes intimidating to chaos. Your silence becomes a boundary. Your pace becomes a weapon. Marcus Aurelius lived in constant noise, war, politics, betrayal, disease. Yet his private writings sound like a quiet room. That's not luck. That's practice. Now I want to give you a 1-week plan because systems become real with repetition. For 7 mornings, do the 6 steps. Don't add, don't optimize, don't perform. Just repeat, wake, seal, delay, divide, declare, move, under 10 minutes. If you miss a day, don't punish yourself. Stoicism is strict with discipline, gentle with the self. Marcus practiced renewal daily. Now here's a small piece of data that matters most. Habit research shows that consistency beats intensity. Doing a small ritual daily builds identity faster than doing a big ritual occasionally. That means your 10-minute fortress is more powerful than someone else's 90-minute fantasy routine. Say it with me. Small, daily, big change. Now I want to address the hidden fear your audience will have. But what if people still try to control me? They will. But it won't work the same way, because control requires two things: your access and your reaction. The routine reduces access and retrains reaction. When you become less accessible and less reactive, people either respect you or they reveal themselves. And either outcome is good. The Stoic does not fear revelation. The Stoic prefers truth over comfort. Now let's close this series with Marcus Aurelius' ultimate message: your freedom is internal. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is the entire series in one sentence. Wait, don't scroll if you can't control your morning. You can't control your life. You don't need more motivation. You need a system. So tomorrow morning, prove it. Before your phone, take one breath and say nothing outside. Me commands me, then choose one action you control and do it. Because that's how Marcus Aurelius built an unbreakable mind inside chaos. Now say it with me one last time. I do not respond on impact. And if this hits you, comment one word: fortress. Let that be your pledge to protect the first minutes of your day. And if you want more Stoic routines that actually work in real life, subscribe to Making Life Better, because next I'll show you how to stay unshakable when people test your boundaries without anger, without guilt, and without losing yourself. One calm breath, and I'll see you in the next video.